Oh, Carl.
So we are live now.
Okay, welcome everyone to the regular meeting of council, Tuesday, December the 1st. So welcome everybody. I'd like to introduce first Joanna Bowes, who is with us tonight, who will be taking over to help us for the next year when Jasmine's on maternity. So Joanna has joined us tonight and will be actually looking after the meeting, the next meeting. But so welcome, Joanna, and also to all of the public that might be on live stream. If we could now have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. And now have the first motion. It was moved by Karen Jennings and seconded by Jeff Carroll that council agree to move items 9A from information item to action item for discussion. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And also, I will remind all of council that if you have any disclosure of interest, you could declare it now or any time during the meeting. The next motion moved by Klaus Vandermeer, seconded by Ian Straight, that the regular meeting of council agenda dated December the 1st, 2020 be approved as amended. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. We're going to the next one, which was next motion moved by Jeff Carroll and seconded by Karen Jennings, that the minutes of the regular meeting of November the 17th, 2020 be approved as circulated. All in favor? Okay, thank you. And I'll go to any business arising from those minutes, if anyone. Okay, seeing none, we're moving on then. Tonight we have no delegations, and the next part of our meeting is the public meeting, but do we have Carol yet?
Not quite yet.
So we could go on, I think, then.
Sure.
Could we go on and do the first report, Jasmine?
Yeah, if council like, yeah, I think that's better.
Well, we don't have Carol. We don't have Carl yet, right?
No.
Okay, so
Wait,
the
hang
next.
on. Sorry, he just joined us.
Okay.
Oh.
We'll wait for a minute here.
Back to go.
We'll just wait a second for him to get his video situated.
There it is.
Hi, Carl.
Are you? Can't hear you, Carl.
Oh, hi, folks. I apologize about that. I had a internet issue. I couldn't connect to Zoom for a while, and had to get that sorted out. I see.
Yes. Hi, Carl.
Now, hello, everyone.
Carl, before we go to our public meeting, I'd like to introduce you to our to Joanna Bowes, who's with us. I hope you can see her on the screen. She is going to be our new acting clerk administrator, who is going to look after things for the next year when Jasmine's gone. So, Joanna, this is our planner, Carol Grinke. Maybe you have met before.
We have met before, yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So, Carol, we're just ready to start our public meeting. And just for the public, we have Carol Grinke, who is the planner for Montague Township. And the public meeting is regarding the Baker rezoning public meeting. So I have a few sentences to read first, and then I'm going to hand it over to Carl. The public meeting is to consider a proposed zoning bylaw amendment under Section 34 of the Planning Act, which is now open. I am Bill Dobson, the Reeve of Montague, who will be chairing this meeting. The application being considered at this time is from Mark and Darlene Baker to amend the zoning on a portion of their property in order to prohibit residential development as a condition of an associated surplus farmhouse severance. This meeting is your opportunity to provide any feedback on this proposal, and we encourage you to do so, as the Planning Act rules suggest that the public's ability to voice objections later in the process may be limited if they don't either sign in or speak up at the meeting. The next part of the meeting, the public meeting, is the presentation and the hearing. And I will now pass the meeting over to our planner, Carl Grente, to report on notification and summarize the application. Following that, we will open the floor to comments from those in attendance and then discussion by council members. So Carl, I will pass it over to you for your report and presentation. Thank you, Carl.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. I see the screen share is on, so I think whenever we're ready, I'll begin the presentation. So this evening we are considering a zoning amendment application submitted by Raymond Mark Baker and Darlene Baker for property on Rosedale Road. So a total of roughly 100 acres on the on what's a county-owned road. So you could see the subject property is highlighted below. The property is about 1 kilometer north of the Rideau River and roughly 5 kilometers east of Smith Falls. Next slide, please. So this application relates to a severance application that was recently made to the county, and that's to sever the house and barns totaling about 5 acres from the remainder farm property. So the entire portion is designated agriculture in our official plan. So that's a designation that's a designation that's intended to protect farmland and the integrity of farming operations on what's been identified as prime agricultural land. So there's lots of farmland into the township, but through our official plan has identified roughly an area along this corridor of Highway 43 and Rosedale Road as being prime agricultural land and has designated that and also zoned that. So there's more restrictive development policies in these lands. So the official plan, our ROP policies are based on the provincial policy statement that restrict severances and development in the prime agricultural lands. And the PPS, as well as our official plan, allows for a few exceptions to that, and one is for farm consolidations. So in this circumstance, if a local farmer or a nearby farmer needs to acquire more land and through a consolidation, it doesn't necessarily have to be a property merger, but if they're adding to their land holding, then they can acquire and sever off the surplus dwelling. So that's no longer needed as part of the original farm application. So they can sever the surplus lands. But normally, if you're severing lands and creating a new parcel, then that parcel can be developed with a house. However, the provincial policy statement and our official plan require that these retained surplus lands be rezoned to prohibit new residential development. So basically allowing only farmland on the property. Or on next slide, please. So the severance application was provisionally approved by the Lanark County Land Division Committee in September, and one of the conditions of that approval was that the applicant obtain the zoning that they're applying for here. So that would be the zoning amendment and consent applications are, of course, they're separate applications decided on by a separate body, but this is but the files are of course related to each other. So the blue highlighted there is the remainder Baker property, and then there is a small area of the small area at the corner is what's proposed to be severed. So the agriculture designation actually doesn't extend on the other side of Rosedale Road. That's where a creek is and a more mixed rural pattern of development on the other side. It also doesn't extend to the north above the rail lines, where again, we're looking at more wetland, woodland, and settlement area. Next slide, please. So so this application envisions an agriculture special exception zone to prohibit a new residential dwelling on these lands. So this zoning amendment is required to satisfy our lot creation policies and also lot size requirements. So recognize a property of the size that's being proposed through this application. So then, of course, the agriculture use and buildings would still be permitted. The zoning bylaw would allow a residential farm consolidation on that, or would allow a residential lot on that, just on that separate parcel. Next slide, please. So this is just the context of the site. It is, of course, a very open land. There's not a lot of vegetation, essentially following fence lines, property lines, and the railway line. It looks most recently to have been planted for corn, but there have been a variety of farm type uses there. The barns and silos are proposed to remain on the severed lands. Next slide, please. So a public meeting like with any zoning amendment application, the purpose is to involve the neighbors and council in the process of changing the land use rules. It's an opportunity for the applicants to present their proposal in detail and for the public to provide comments. And comments and feedback received will be considered by staff in their recommendation, which would be presented at the next meeting. So this application is a little bit unusual in that it's essentially proposing to lock in what the land is currently used for. Normally, most zoning applications we're looking at changing it to something else, but in this case, we're as required by provincial and municipal policy, we're looking to lock in the agriculture land use on this parcel. Next slide, please. So the consultation is, of course, an important part of the planning process. The severance was circulated by the county in accordance with the requirements for that, and township staff have circulated the zoning amendment in accordance with those requirements, and that includes neighbors within 120 meters, applicable public agencies, and notice posted on site. And to the best of my knowledge, we have not received any written feedback from the public or agencies with respect to this application. But of course, this is the opportunity for that to be provided. Next slide, please. So the consent application has been evaluated to determine whether this new lot should be created. That application process identifies opportunities and constraints, considers lot boundaries and orientation. The zoning ultimately is intended to ask council whether you agree to revise the development rules on the subject land. So if the zoning is not approved, the consent cannot be completed. This is one of the conditions, but it's not the only condition here. So staff will be bringing a recommendation to council at the next meeting. Next slide, please. So at this point, council will be asked to make a decision on the zoning amendment application, and the applicant will be responsible to fulfill all other conditions of consent approval. So certainly for anyone who's viewing at home who'd like to participate, we'd encourage you to reach out to our clerk, or alternatively, feedback on a planning application can be provided before council makes a decision. So anything in any written submissions, emails would can be sent to the clerk administrator or to myself. So I'll pause there and let Mr. Chair take the next steps on the application.
Thank you, Carl. We will now invite any comments or submissions regarding this application from members of the public. And when speaking, please be advised that comments provided do form part of the public record. And as such, we ask that you please state your name and address. And all comments should be addressed through myself, the chair. And you may also submit comments, as has been said, in writing prior to council's decision on proposed zoning bylaw. Before I go on, Jasmine, you have, Jasmine?
I do want to
Yep.
note that our notices did request that members of the public register with me prior to the meeting to speak. So I didn't receive any registrants.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Council will first hear from members of the public. And as you said, you haven't heard yet, but that was who do wish to speak to the application, and then from the applicants from any concluding remarks they may have. And following that, we will entertain questions from the council members. So as of now, we have no public input on this or questions. But so I guess the first question would have been, which just to let everybody know how the process is, would have been that are there any questions? Are there any members of the public who wish to speak to this application? And then we also ask if there's any closing remarks from the applicants. And I don't believe that we have the applicants tonight either. Is that correct, Jasmine?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So thank you all. And I'll now ask if there's any questions or discussion from the council members. So I'll just turn this part over to council if we have any questions. I do see Ian. Ian, please.
Hey, Reeve, thank you very much. Thanks again, Carl, for the report. It's great to see what's going on, and I have no issues with the rezoning at all. I guess my issue or my question is for Carl. When we talked about the zoning of all these lands that are designated farmlands or agricultural only, some of these farmlands be changed in the official plan that we're looking at right now? Is that possible? Like, do they have to be all in one big clump, or can they be staggered throughout the township, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes, Carl.
So excellent question, Councillor. Thank you. So agriculture mapping is one of those pieces that's for the most part, in my experience, this is mapping that's provided to the municipality by the province, and usually what they do is they identify like largely contiguous areas throughout the in the municipality where there is a concentration of farmland all in one area, and areas that have the best soil. So part of the objective there is to avoid the fragmentation of that farmland. And if we were to look at opening up some of these lands for development, the concern is that in doing so, that might constrain, say, a livestock production or something like that might be incompatible in that general location. I think now that we are opening up the official plan, that's if there's a time to be having this conversation, that's certainly now, and I can have that conversation with the consultant. At the moment, though, the agricultural lands we haven't looked at those or changing those boundaries. But ultimately, this is one of those pieces that where we are guided by provincial policy that sets the requirement to identify and protect farmland. And there's no doubt there's good farmland elsewhere in the municipality in pockets, but this has been identified through a previous planning process as the best large-scale contiguous area. So to answer your question, now's the time to be looking into it. I'm not sure. There would be a process to be revising those boundaries, and we can have that conversation with Forbes to see if there's any any possibility on that. But it is harder to revise, say, an agricultural boundary than some of our other OP designations.
All right. Thank you very much, Carl.
Yes, Karen?
So I had a conversation with Carl yesterday, similar. I had inquired whether or not any of the agricultural designation along 43, if some of the property that is closest to the highway could be taken out of it to allow for, say, residents to be built on, but still leave all those back acres still as residential. I wanted to know whether or not how much had to be left as designated agriculture, whether, you know, we could downsize some of the acreage, but still have the agricultural area just in behind. So I did have a conversation similar with Carl yesterday.
Just a bit of history, and I guess if we could, this is a very good conversation, but we should be having it another time, I think, when we're looking at our official plan. But just a little bit of history. When this came into, I remember a few years ago when this happened, and at the time the government was asking for 5,000 acres to be designated the way this is, 5,000. And the council of the day felt that was way exorbitant. So we managed to get it changed from 5,000 to 1,500. So in fact, I think the history there is approximately 1,500 acres that is now designated. And that is definitely the area in Montague that has the most prime agricultural land in one pocket. The next largest was down around Andrewsville. And then there were 2 or 3 or 4 other very small little pockets. But it's a good question, and we'll look forward to this in our official plan discussion. Yes, Jasmine?
I do want to note that a consultant is coming to the next meeting on December 15th to present an issues and options report related to our official plan amendments. So
Perfect.
fresh in your mind.
So any other questions, council?
No.
Okay, seeing none, then thank you to everybody. This matter will be considered at the next available committee of the whole meeting. And anyone wishing further notice and/or notice of the decision regarding the proposal is asked to leave their full name and address in the sign-in sheet located at the table at the front. Well, obviously we don't have a table at the front, but you can send the letter, an email, or a phone call to our staff or Carl or Jasmine.
Yes.
Under the Planning Act, any person or body who is not satisfied with the decision of council may appeal council's decision to the new local planning appeals tribunal. The last day for filing an appeal will be outlined in the notice of decision, and council will consider all information presented before reaching a decision. And my closing remarks is just I wanted to thank all of council and staff and Carl for giving us a really precise report in the presentation. And we'll look forward to concluding this at our next meeting. So thanks to the public, and we'll now then adjourn the public meeting. And so it is now, 6:26. So we'll now adjourn the public meeting regarding this application. Thank you, everybody. And then we'll take a minute. Oh, yes, Claus.
Yes,
Yes,
sorry, Reeve. My apologies. I did mute myself and stop the video because the Bakers are related to myself.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
Claus, to be clear, Deputy Reeve Vandermeer, are you declaring a conflict of interest on this item?
Yeah. Yes.
So due to their relation?
Yes. Okay, that's why I muted myself and stopped the video, so you couldn't see me.
Okay. So you do have to publicly declare that as well. So
Yeah.
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 Okay, thank you, Claus.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Carl, then for that report. And I guess we're now going to go back to the very first report of our municipal officers. And the first report is yours, Jasmine, and that's going to be on the boundary discussions. So thank you, Jasmine. You can take over this one.
Yep, just give me 1 second.
Jasmine, on the next motion, actually, should I have read the next motion now?
Yes, it's
Okay.
related to the public meeting.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and do that first, then, if you don't mind, please. This motion was moved by Ian Straight and seconded by Klaus Vandermeer. That council receive the following report, that being the Baker Public Report by our planner, Carol Granke, and that the following be approved, that council receive comments on the zoning application. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, thank you. So Jasmine, I'll go back to you then. And this is on the boundary discussions.
Yes. So as we all know, there were some discussions at the town of Smith Falls related to the boundary adjustment agreement that we have with the town of Smith Falls. So town of Smith Falls has now sent us an official letter for to consider the boundary adjustment, and is seeking council representatives to come and sit in a meeting of council, or sorry, a meeting of certain members of council as well as staff to discuss the boundary agreement. I think it's prudent to participate in preliminary discussions to determine what the cost benefit of altering the agreements with the Township of Montague would be. And certainly after any initial discussion, information will come back from council for decision making. So staff recommend that 2 members of council be appointed to sit on the panel to discuss the boundary agreement with the town of Smith Falls. And of course, there's a copy of the staff report considered at the town of Smith Falls, along with the boundary adjustment agreement signed by both parties. So seeking council representatives on this case.
So yeah, this motion is to seek the representation, and then it'll move forward, as you say, with the discussions with the town. Claus?
You're looking for people to volunteer, or do we nominate somebody?
However, council.
You had your hand up.
Yes, I did.
You had your hand up.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just going to you. You had your hand up, so. Pardon?
Okay. All right. I would like to put
Okay.
my name on that to volunteer for this meeting with the town.
Okay, I'll go around and ask anybody else, like Karen.
I would like to put my name forward as well.
Okay, anyone else?
Oh,
Jasmine, can I ask you a question? Jasmine?
Yes.
Can you
Yes.
hear? Okay, yeah, I was reading the other letters there and the report and whatever, but I think it was this discussion that they were wanting to have the mayor and 2 representatives. And to be honest, I mean, we've got 2, we may have more people, councillors, but I would love to be on it. And because I was so involved in the original discussions and agreement, very involved. And so I think it would be very good representation if I was there, but I'm not saying that, but I'd like to add myself to 2 councillors, because it did say that the 2 councillors and the mayor in Montague, or in Smith Falls would be present. So I think it would be fair to have 3 people representing on each council. Jasmine, please.
So for the town of Smith Falls council, 3 members does not constitute a quorum. I believe they have a 7-member council. For our council, because we have a 5-member council, 3 members constitutes a quorum of council, and therefore it would be a meeting of council and would have to be posted and advertised and done publicly like that.
Okay, so I totally understand that. Then I guess I'll. I still feel that I would be a big asset to Montague because I was there in the beginning and throughout all of the discussions to do with the original agreement. Jeff, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all really interested in this. I mean, I think this is going to be a great discussion. I think it's also a great opportunity in that area to have a huge growth area that can both, obviously be an advantage for Smiths Falls and us. I mean, I really like to. One of the things I know when I watched Smiths Falls, because I was kind of curious of what their thoughts were, their initial thoughts, I guess you could say, about this, and also about our next item on our agenda with the water agreement. And they had a bit of a thought of they have the same people doing it because they want to tie them together. And my opinion is that I think we've been going after the water agreement for a long time, and there's been some positive things, and I'll kudos to CAO at Smiths Falls because he's very positive in the conversations that I've had so far, and he's very positive in his talks that we can get to an outcome from it. So that was very encouraging to hear from him. But I think we want to make sure that we distinguish these as two separate items altogether, and not allow them to come together.
Yeah. Sorry, Jeff, to cut you off. I totally agree with you, but this request is specifically to do with the one issue. I totally agree with you. They're two different issues. Totally, they shouldn't be tied together. So this request is for specifically for the boundary, and that's what this motion is on the floor for, the boundary discussions. And it's simply to appoint two members. And I appreciate, Jasmine, what you pointed out, that we can't have three. So we need to have two. So I guess we could have two of any five of us. But we've got two people, Karen and Claus and myself, who would like to. Then I'll go back to you, Jeff, and unless Ian wants to also. But Jeff, I'll go to you first, and then to Ian.
I just want to. I was trying to get to my point of why I want them to make sure that they're distinguished, and I don't want to discount or exclude any council members. But I feel in order to showcase that we want to see them as two separate items, we should have two separate, different people than we've already appointed.
Oh, exactly.
To the agreement, and that's what I'm getting.
Totally.
At. So,
I appreciate, and I'm sorry I cut you off. I totally understand. I'm in full agreement now. I guess the question is, which two do we've already appointed two of you to the water sewer discussions. Who are they? Ian? Yeah, Ian,
Yeah,
did
myself
you
and
want to
Claus.
speak?
Yeah, I do. If that's
Okay,
all right.
so
I'd like to,
no, I'll
I
go to you,
think-
Ian, please.
Yeah, I'd like to take this time. Obviously, I agree with Councillor Carroll. There's not one person that's on this council that doesn't want to be on that, participate in those meetings. So I'm going to go out on a limb here in a little bit, and I'm going to nominate Karen and Jeff to attend the meeting to represent the township. And I want to put a motion forward for that, and if that's possible.
I guess if I'll go to Jasmine, if it's possible?
Yep, yeah, absolutely. So the motion would be on the floor to move by Councillor Straight to nominate Councillor Jennings and Councillor Carroll. So we'd need a seconder in order to discuss that item.
Do we have a seconder?
possibly second.
Jeff? Seconding it?
Yes,
So, pardon?
yes, please. Yeah.
Okay, all in favor? So that's carried then. So Jeff, and then, so this motion was moved by Karen Jennings and seconded by Jeff Carroll, that council received the following report on the boundary discussions, and that the following be approved: that council appoint 2 members to participate in the discussion related to the boundary adjustment agreement. And they are then, do we put the two names in this motion, Jasmine?
No, we shouldn't need to.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Now, the next one is the water agreement discussion. And back to you, Jasmine.
Yes, so we are concurrently considering discussions with the town of Smith Falls, long-running discussions, restarting water and sewer discussions with the town of Smith Falls. So a letter was provided to the town of Smith Falls that was received on Monday, November 23rd. So we have received a response from the town of Smith Falls, and they're open to discussing it. So the representatives, Councillor Straight, Deputy Vandermeer, will participate in the discussions, and just wanted to let council know that we are also moving forward with that as well.
Okay, Jeff?
This is great. Thanks, Jasmine, and I look forward to Ian and Claus obviously representing us really well there, and the residents at Ranarano. One thing I would like to say though is that because we want to make sure that we're distinguishing, as these are two separate items, obviously the one we just talked about and this one. And I think we also need to, I almost want to say is there's going to be a lot of reports and a lot of discussion back and forth. Mm-hmm. And albeit I'd like us to, it's good that we're both kind of starting them together. I think the priority of where we want to, get one done first is this one, and then the boundary agreement. And almost like it's like you utilize it, you're writing a test. Let's get the easy one done first, which I think this is the easier one. This is the one that we should be able to come to a better agreement to. And then let's work on the hard agreement that's after that too as well. We've, and also we're separating too as well. I think that was the other point I was trying to make is this is for the people of Anne Arundel, where the other part is for obviously everybody in the township. So I think that's got to be our, I want to make sure that we want to stress that, and we're not saying that, we're going to do this first, is that we're trying to use it as a blackmail side. It's just that I think this is an agreement we've been trying to go after for decades. So now that we're actually at the table, let's focus on this one, get this one done, and get it completed, and then we can really then dive in harder into the other ones. So that's my opinion, but thank you.
Okay, Claus?
Thank you, Reeve. Just to tail off on Councillor Carroll's comments, and this agreement should be done real quickly. Ian and I both sat these meetings and gone over things, and we don't want to reinvent the wheel or reinvent the discussion. We want to get right to the point. As far as the other discussions you guys are going to have with the town, that is quite a ways down the road, because there's a long time before any development's going to happen there. So one thing, we can get this water thing completely out of the way, guaranteed, because the other project is a long, long ways away.
Okay. Karen?
So this one is to get a new agreement on the water agreement and sewer for Adirano. But are we at some point in time updating the Rito, or is it remaining as the dated one that it is?
What do you mean updating the Rito?
Aren't there two separate agreements?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yes, it can be considered concurrently, or do it one at a time. So focus on Adirano and then focus on Rito Walker.
Just wondering whether or not it was going to be left as the old dated, or whether at some point it would be as well.
The Rito is also up for like it is quite aged as well. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeff, did you have something?
I guess I'm curious, and maybe why we didn't lump that Rito in with sort of the Anne Arundel discussions.
They have two very unique sets of challenges, and they're actually two very unique agreements completely. The Adirano agreement definitely has a lot more history and a lot more, I would consider, issues with the agreement itself.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Anything else? Any questions? And okay, seeing none, we have a motion moved by Claus Vandermeer and seconded by Ian Straight. The council received the following. Yes, Jeff.
All right. I guess because we didn't talk about a motion. We didn't talk about that, but that discussion point of making sure that this is the focus that we get done first and out of the way. Are we kind of, is that just more of a direction from staff to staff that that's what we're looking for? Or is it,
Sorry, apologies.
no, yeah,
Council can absolutely provide that direction to staff. Absolutely. If that's what you
And yeah, we can do that after this motion, I think. Can we?
I would do it before.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then I guess I'll just ask for consensus to ask for staff direction to look into the two separate agreements.
It'd be to prioritize water and sewer agreements, I believe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so going around the table, Ian,
No problems.
Jeff,
I'd-
yep.
and Klaus,
Yes.
and Karen.
Yes.
Okay, so we do have consensus there, Jasmine.
Great.
And so going back to the motion, which was moved by Klaus and second by Ian, that the council receive the water agreements report and that the following be approved, that we receive this for information. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Next is also yours, Jasmine, on the ICIP funding.
Great. So at the last meeting, council and staff received notice of the ICIP COVID-19 resilience funding and the essentially a pot of funds that the Township of Montague has access to, which is just over $100,000. The application is due on December 21st, 2021. Staff did take a look at some of the projects that we have due and have made a recommendation on what we should apply for this fund. I included a number of salient points related to the work. So unfortunately, only components on or in buildings are eligible for funding. So components outside buildings are not. That means that septic and well work does not appear to be eligible for funding. There's a bunch of other points on there as well. Staff recommend that the roof replacement be the project that is applied for. We have had issues with the roof for a number of years, and in the past year and a half or so, those problems have become more exacerbated, and we've had continual leaks. We have had it repaired, but the roofing companies have noted that it is not expected that it'll last much past like this winter, so it must be completed in 2021. Additionally, because of the water ingress into the facility, there's concerns of air quality and mold in the building that we're simply unable to access without actually taking the roof off. In a past direction of council, staff have looked into the conversion of the flat roof to a peaked roof, and the addition of metal cladding, so a metal roof rather than an asphalt roof. So Greer Galloway, which was the recommended engineering group for the design and engineering for the roof, it gives a very ballpark qualified estimate of around $103,000 for the grant application. However, I do recommend that we kind of bundle a couple items in there just in case the roof comes in under budget. What we can do, and just to note prior to moving on to the bundling, is that what we can do for the design and consideration is we can kind of try to design the new roof so it doesn't tie in to the association hall, so that if council chooses in the future to say take that association hall down or modify it for any future internal renovations, we can do that without affecting any of the work that's been done this year. The other, what essentially this means though, is by moving forward with the roof, is that council would be committing to maintaining the building envelope, which would be like the roof and the outside of the building for the administrative building, rather than full replacement. But that doesn't mean that the interior of that building can't be renovated in the future. So it does kind of mean a commitment of council because we're investing enough funds in it that we're keeping kind of that building envelope itself. So in keeping with that, direction, I've recommended a couple items that came in the building condition assessment that focus only on the building envelope itself, which includes window replacement, repointing and concrete repair on the outside, and potential door and threshold replacement to meet accessibility criteria. So we can include those in the application in the hope that the roof comes in our budget with the, we can be idealistic with this and try and get as much as we can out of the grant application. So that's the recommendation from staff, and we would have to get the application in before the 21st.
Karen, please.
So that means that we won't be doing any work right now on the admin building though, because this application says you can't do anything prior to this.
Yeah, like we wouldn't be doing work on the roof or the windows. We could certainly complete the design and engineering on the roof, but we couldn't actually physically get up there on the roof.
Right.
Okay, Ian and then Claus.
No, first of all, thanks, Jasmine, for the report. And I had a great conversation with you this afternoon. And I thank you for taking the time to do that. Really clarified a lot of things for myself. And I think this is a great plan. I think that that's what we need to do. And it's nice that there's $100,000 worth of money sitting around that we can take advantage of. And let's put the application in and see where we end up.
Okay, Claus.
Hey, thanks, Reeve. Excellent report, Jasmine. A lot of detail and so forth. I guess I want to focus on your comment. If we do go down this road, that means that we will be keeping the envelope of the building the way it is. That is going to be pretty well cut in stone by going this route, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so that puts our focus very much on for the future, so where we're headed, which is fine. Okay. On the door threshold replacement accessibility criteria, 20,000 as part of this application. Is there not a special fund available for making accessibility for buildings? Because in 2025, we're mandated that we have to do this. Would there not be some special funding coming forward for that?
There is occasionally an enabling accessibility grant that comes out, that has come out cyclically, I think every 2 or 3 years.
Okay. Would we want to wait till that comes out, or do you think we should go ahead and do the door threshold now with this whole project with the ICF fund?
I don't think there's any harm in applying for the ICIF, and if we don't have enough money to do it, then we can go with the enabling accessibility.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Now, I did see another hand. Was it Jeff? I think Jeff. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. Thanks. So if we do come over the budget, like we also have the ability to not spend all the money until 2022, correct? Right. So we can do the roof, and then hopefully by in the following year in 2022, we're gonna have an idea of what we're doing with that building, and it's about replacing windows, all that kind of stuff. When we have leftover money, we still have a lot of time to spend the rest of the money if the roof comes under budget, right?
Yes, we should.
So I mean, I think
it depends on also the particulars of our funding agreement is the word that I'm looking for with the province, because sometimes they'll have limitations on areas in which you can kind of extend your money into. Typically, it has to be like tangentially at least related to what you applied for.
But we still, okay, so they're going to say you're going to have to do the roof the same time you're doing the windows, like or if that's the case, or you
typically the way so I'm saying if we have extra money, then we have to kind of massage the wording to have something that would be related to something that we applied for.
Okay. I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I guess that one of the things, like, I'm on the fan of repointing and concrete repair and window replacement over the door threshold, just like almost on Deputy Reeves Vandermeer's point. There might be other funding that we can tackle that with.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think like what Councillor Straight said is like, let's get this going. Let's get the roof done. I think we're going to stick with that envelope of the building. It's the most cost effective thing to do, and there's nothing wrong with the nuts and bolts of it. That's what we've already figured out. So it's just going to be really about what we're going to do the inside of it. And then let's get the roof done and we'll take the next step.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Anyone else? If not, I don't see any other hands up. Then I have a motion here, which was moved by Jeff Carroll and seconded by Karen Jennings, that council receive the following report, the ICIF COVID-19 Resilience Fund, and the following be approved. That the council directs staff to apply for ICIP COVID-19 Resilience Fund for the bundled project submission. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. And moving on, the next one is also yours, Jasmine, on the ICG application.
So council directed staff at the last meeting to look into the Inclusive Community Grant Program and to bring forward a recommendation for potential applications. So it was discussed at the Recreation Committee meeting of November last week. So I think the Recreation Committee definitely came up with some good ideas of things that we could do. Upon review of the actual grant program itself, it's pretty narrowly scoped in terms of the projects in which it will fund. So what it does is fund the development of age-friendly community initiatives, which is a very kind of specific planning and evaluation framework that outlines, certain areas of community life to benefit an individual's personal well-being. So eligible products must result in activities that support at least one of the steps in the province's age-friendly community planning guide, which is, kind of developing an AFC needs assessment and action plan and implementing that action plan itself. So it does support activities and expenses that are directly associated with development, implementation, and evaluation of local AFC action plans. You can include staff time and costs associated with producing the plan. So if you fund up to $60,000, it's 100% fund. So there's no obligation for the municipality. Certainly based on the 100% funding, it would be something for staff to look into and apply. I do recommend that we do apply for the development of an age-friendly action plan and the development of some age-friendly initiatives. It certainly could develop a strong network of kind of programming ideas and a background for the rec committee as well to have like programming support and ideas to implement.
Thank you, Jasmine. Questions or comments? Karen, please.
So this is just to apply for staffing, not for actual programs?
Yeah, it would be the development of the plan. So it would be the staffing time, or we could look at hiring a consultant to cover that as well.
Jeff?
Yeah.
Sorry, were you finished, Karen?
Yep.
Sorry, Jeff. Were you finished, Karen? Okay. Sorry.
Yes.
Jeff, please.
Thanks, Reeve, through you. I think that's where the big part we got that from the rec committee, and I think the cool thing about this is it can really tie into our the rec feasibility study we're doing, because we're going to get a lot of answers from that. But then now we can use this to tie off programming that we're getting from that. So I think it's a great great tie-in to what we're going to do. And like I said, for the rec committee group, it gives more sort of tools so we can really get going with what we want to do for rec in the community. So it's really good.
Anything else? Okay, seeing no further questions, you do have a motion moved by Ian Straight and second by Klaus Vandermeer that the council receive the following report, that being the Inclusive Community Grant Program, and that the following be approved. That council direct staff to apply to the Inclusive Community Grant Program for the development of an age-friendly action plan and age-friendly initiatives. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you, Jasmine, for that one. And moving on, the next motion I have is moved by Karen Jennings, and seconded by Jeff Carroll, that council approve the minutes of the meeting of the committee of the whole meeting of November the 17th, 2020, and approve the recommendations contained within. All in favor? Okay, that's opposed. Nobody? That's carried. Thank you. And any business arising from those minutes? Okay, seeing none, we're moving on. We have no petitions tonight. The bylaws, we have some. And the first bylaw is moved by Klaus Vandermeer, second by Ian Straight. The bylaw 3800, 2020, being a bylaw to adopt the gravel road maintenance policy, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed this first day of December 2020. All in favor? Sorry, opposed? Sorry, yeah. Are you opposed, Dean?
Yeah.
So I'm going to I just needed to see all of the hands.
Yeah,
So
that's all right.
all in favor, please? And opposed? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Next bylaw, moved by Karen Jennings, seconded by Jeff Carroll. That bylaw 3801, 2020, being a bylaw to adopt the culvert replacement policy. Be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed this first day of December 2020. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. The next bylaw, moved by Ian Straight, seconded by Klaus Vandermeer. That bylaw 3802, 2020, being a bylaw to appoint a clerk administrator for the township of Montague. Be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed this first day of December 2020. All in favor?
I'm not voting,
Yeah.
sorry.
Did you have a question first?
Just a procedural clarification. So I want to note that for a little while, so this does not rescind my appointment by law. So you will essentially have two concurrent clerk administrators.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Woohoo. Look at all the work
Okay.
we'll get done.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So
First
be
time in
read.
history.
It be read for second and third time and passed, signed, and sealed this first day of December 2020. Before we vote, did you I saw your hand go up, Jeff. Did you have a comment first?
I briefly touched with Jasmine, but what's the end date of the contract?
Right now, the end date is the beginning of December. So December 2nd, 2022.
The end date is December is December 2nd. Is there a reason why we have that date?
That was set up as my return date.
But that's 2020. That's December 2021, right?
2022.
2022.
January of 2022, you mean, or?
Did I
You
say
said-
yes? I meant December. I meant December is the word that I meant to say. Yes.
So that would be 20, but wouldn't that be 21?
December 2022 is the end date.
2 years?
No,
1 year.
January of 20.
If I may, I believe it's
I'm
January
confused.
2nd, January
January
2nd, 2022, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, that's why that's better. It's
Yes.
December. Okay, so no, that's why I was asking. Thank you, Joanna.
So my
So to answer Jeff's question, so it is then January, did you say 2nd,
Yes.
Yes.
2022? Okay, Jeff?
So-
Yes, Jeff?
my question is do we want to have any type of overlap, or can we have any type of overlap on the return of Ms. Ralph to make sure that like it's a smooth transition back? I'd hate to see like the Friday, Joanna walks out today and the Monday Jasmine walks in. I'd like to see an overlap a bit just to make sure that we have sort of a transfer back of, like, we're not going to have the same, we don't need the same time frame that we're hoping to give Joanna with Jazz now, but like more just so she has like a 2-week sort of bring back up to speed and everything else.
If council wants staff to look into that, you can certainly direct us to do that.
I would like that if people are in favor of that. I mean, I'd like to make sure, just to make sure that we're not bringing it right back. I'd like to have a 2-week basically transition back in, so we can have sort of make sure that we don't have any sort of blips in the radar, I guess you could say.
A clause?
Yeah, I would concur with Councillor Carroll on that. I think a 2-week extension beyond January 2nd, 2022 would be in order.
Okay, so, and Karen
Yes, I'm in agreement.
and Ian?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay, so we have consensus for that. Then I have read this motion completely, so I don't think I need to read it again. So I'll call the vote. All in favor? So that is unanimous. So Joanna, no backing out now. Thank you. Congrats.
Thank you very much.
And welcome.
Yeah,
That's
welcome.
carried. Thank you. Okay, then we're moving on to, sorry. The other bylaws. So and then we're moving on to, we have no motions and notice of motions. And under the correspondence, there's one action item, and that's, I guess, are there any action items?
Yes, item A was moved from information to action.
Oh, yes. Okay, yes. Okay, so who moved that?
That was yourself.
Okay, so I wondered if that was the one. Okay, so Jasmine, I'm not sure how we can word this, but I moved this forward because under the various municipalities, there were quite a few motions that I would support. But if council wishes, that's why I'm bringing it to the table. And that is regarding the issue of removing section 6 of the Bill 229. That is regarding the conservation authorities. And what is being asked of all of the various municipalities that are supporting this and others, I believe AMO was doing a presentation also, was the fact that everybody just wishes to be able to remove that section so that it can be, so that there can be more consultation because of how it's going to affect the local municipalities. So that's why I'm bringing this forward to ask if council wishes to support the various municipalities. So to do that, do we need our own specific worded one, or do we just pick one that we support like we usually do? I guess that question is for you, Jasmine.
I mean, ultimately, it's up to council.
Okay.
I think that the resolution that was used by the township of Essa and the municipality of Grey Highlands are pretty much very similar and look, they appear to be generic enough that we could just use that wording.
Yeah, it's fairly simple. All they're asking is to remove it so that there can be more consultation by the municipalities. So do we have consensus to do this by council? I'll go around the table and I see Karen's nodding yes. Claus?
Yes.
And Jeff? Yeah. Well, I'll come to you, Jasmine. Jeff?
For me, I'm going to say a no, just because I'm reading through it and I'm wondering if it's actually working at cutting some of the red tape. I understand the worries of the on the conservation side, but I'm still struggling with it. How if maybe it might not be a bad idea. I've read through it, so I'm going to say nay for now.
Okay, just to try to explain there a little bit is that my belief is that guaranteed everybody around that table, when it does get pulled, still want to talk about more efficiency. So everybody's on board, Jeff. Everybody agrees with you that there should be a review of all of that, and there will be. The good part is that that can take place through consultation rather than how it's being done. But I'll go to Ian for your opinion.
You know what? I agree with Councillor Carroll on this. I feel a little bit that the conservation authorities have maybe just a touch too much say in power and what goes on and what development goes on, and it's kind of, I don't necessarily can't wrap my head around it. 1 minute, you know, we're trying to protect you know, this little small little wee drainage ditch, and the next thing you know, you drive by a place and they're completely infilling a whole swamp. So I don't know what's going on 100%, but I think that the whole thing has to be looked at.
Yeah, and I totally agree again, but I'm going to be in favor of this, and so we do have guess we have support for this motion. But I agree, and I agree with both you, Jeff, and Ian, that when if it does get pulled, then that consultation regarding the issues that you're talking about will definitely get discussed for sure. And so it should. So I completely agree with your comments. Jasmine, you had your hand up.
Yeah, so from a procedural standpoint, in order to pass the motion of support, we need a mover and a seconder of the motion, and then we need to call the vote of the motion.
Okay,
Right?
I'll ask for a mover and seconder then.
Yeah.
Mover, please. So it was moved by Karen and seconded by Claus. All in favor? And opposed? And that's carried. Okay, thank you, Jasmine.
Okay, sorry, I just I accidentally erased something. So it was moved by
Moved by
Councillor-
Karen and seconded by Claus.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Okay.
And then would we like it sent to
I believe I believe it should be sent to
province?
guess we probably should have we probably should have decided that before we voted maybe, but I would say it should be sent to all municipalities like we normally do.
Yep.
And the minister in charge and our local I guess I'll say our local MPP.
Sure.
Anyone else that we should be sent? I think it should be sent back to Rita Court, to both of them. No, when the county did it, they sent the letter to both CAs, but in this case, I believe that this letter should also be sent to the Rita Valley Conservation Authority.
Okay. That okay with everybody?
And if somebody wants to add somebody else to send it to, that's fine too. Okay, then that's carried. Thank you. And those were the only information items that had been moved to action. And let's see, we have no unfinished business. And before we recess to go to our committee meeting, before I do that, I see your hand, Jeff, and because I'm going to go to ask for public questions. So Jeff, please.
I just want to ask a quick question. I don't know if this is a point of order or not, but for the Baker public meeting information, who first and seconded that? And I'm just more like in concern of what Deputy Reeve Vandermeer, and I thought he might have been one of them. And if he did do that, I want to make sure we don't have a procedural issue there.
That is a good note, Councillor Carroll. Deputy Reeve Vandermeer was listed as a seconder. So I think that is an excellent point. So if you'd like to, if we'd like to get another seconder on that item, that resolution.
Sure, I mean, I'll do that, or anybody.
Okay. So
Okay.
I had both Councillor Straight or Councillor Jennings, so.
Okay, so that motion is now then, is still moved by Ian Straight and seconded by Jeff Carroll. Okay, I've corrected this one, Jasmine.
Perfect.
Okay,
So that is a
thanks,
point of
Jeff.
order, yes.
Okay, thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
So then, Jasmine, I'm going to ask if we have any questions or comments, I guess questions from the public on live.
We do have a question. I will just pull up Facebook as well. So the question I have is there a limit, excuse me, on how many council meetings can be posted on YouTube? And has council discussed how many or how long does council wish to leave the videos on YouTube?
No limit and forever.
That's a good question.
So I guess the answer is no, we haven't discussed it, but Jasmine, if you want to.
So I think to
Respond.
answer the technical side of that question, I don't think that there is a limit on the amount of hours that we can post in terms of YouTube content. I think there's lots of people out there that have far exceeded our hour rate. I think the other question of the consideration of how long we would want to keep them posted, I think is a good question and would, I think, be appropriately considered as amendment to some of our records retention bylaws. That can be had with a further discussion of council. It's probably good to put a specific parameter on it, even if we want to say we're going to keep it for as long as possible or 10 years or something like that. We should put a number on it.
Have we removed any so far?
We have not, no.
Not perfect.
Except for the ones where I'm testing videos and it's just my head bobbing around, or those ones get deleted.
So I have Jeff and then Claus. Jeff, please.
As I say, we should keep the blooper ones, but I was kind of hoping to look back when I was 80 years old and still go back on YouTube and kind of see me at the beginning part of my council career. But I mean, I guess we can archive them at certain points. So,
Claus?
In our policy, is it a 7-year that we archive records, Jasmine, or 10 years?
It all depends on the type of records.
Okay. Yeah.
So like our retention period varies from permanent records retention to 15 to 7 and some as low as 2.
So does council wish, because the question has arisen here, does council wish staff direction to bring back a preliminary report on this?
Yes.
Okay, Jeff?
yeah, sure. We'll see what everybody else is. I'm sure there's other ones that already have that out there we can kind of follow. So that I've been probably posting on YouTube for the last 10 years.
Okay. Ian
I'm fine with that.
and Karen?
Yeah.
Okay, so no problem. So thank you for that question then, Jeff. And then and from the public who asked the initial question, do we have any other public questions or comments?
No more questions.
Okay, thank you then. Then we have a motion by Jeff Carroll and seconded by Karen Jennings that council recess at 7:16. All in favor? Okay, and that's carried. And if we can, I think take two minutes. Do we need 3 minutes as a break here?
I'd say 3 minutes.
Give her 3.
Okay, we'll take 3 minutes and then we'll reconvene.
I'll get out of my chair.
Okay, thank you.
Jasmine has priority.
Okay, we'll be back. Are we live now, Jasmine?
Still live.
Pardon me?
Yes, we're still live.
Yeah.
I took a drive on Sunday night, and it was amazing to see the amount of Christmas lights in our township, how pretty they are.
Mhm.
Lots of community support.
Absolutely. So, by the way, we are still running the rec committee is running the Christmas lights tour. So we're going to be publishing the location of a number of people who have pretty lights. So it doesn't have to be ridiculously elaborate or anything like that. Just to design a tour for any residents who are looking at getting a little bit of Christmas spirit and driving around and looking at lights. So if there are people who would want to participate, or if you know people who have nice displays, please feel free to spread the information around. Get some more participants.
Did we get lights on the tree at Rosedale Hall yet?
I believe yes, thanks to the efforts of some of our intrepid volunteers.
Exactly. Okay, I think so. We'll go ahead then. So welcome everybody to the Committee of the Whole meeting of December the 1st. And we have a motion that was moved by Klaus Vandermeer and seconded by Ian Straight that the Committee of the Whole agenda dated December the 1st, 2020 be approved. All in favor? And that's carried. Also, I will remind all of council that if you have a disclosure of interest, you can do it now or during the meeting. Moving on, we have no delegations tonight. The first report is going to go back to our planner, Carol Granke, and that is going to be on the Greer site plan update. So Carol, welcome back, and you can take over.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hello again, everyone. So I'll keep this brief. I'm just presenting council an update on this, since it's been about a month since we've last had the conversation. But as council will recall, we reported on a site plan amendment proposal for property at 440 Sturgis Road, and that application, of course, was driven by the request to regularize an open storage area that was developed over the last few months but did not comply with the previous site plan agreement, and also take that opportunity to catch up with catch-up approvals on a number of other little items throughout the property and accommodate the continued expansion of the self-storage. So the council was provided options on supporting the plan as submitted, subject to the establishment of appropriate mitigation conditions, or alternatively refusing to support the plan as submitted and directing that the open storage be located to a different area on the lot. So several questions were presented and raised. It was a very substantial conversation, and certainly appreciate the feedback from council on that. So as noted in my report, there was some discussion on the on what's happening and what's being stored there in terms of vehicles. But I think one of the biggest outstanding issues that staff have reached out to the Conservation Authority on is the specific detailed advice regarding the pump of pump house that we understand pumps water through over the Ottawa Valley Rail Trail into the municipal drain nearby, and council had some concerns about source protection. So that has been bumped over from RVCA's planning staff to their source protection staff, and we await a response on that, and that's certainly would help council make it an informed decision on the proposal. And while that gets worked through, I'm also just updating council on how we implement and enforce site plan agreements and the necessary works. So certainly we're dealing with an older site plan agreement at that time, but for any new commercial or industrial site plan these days, we investigate the posting of securities to cover the estimated cost of works to be provided. So for instance, if a site plan agreement requires trees or requires grading, drainage, or other features, especially that are required to mitigate offsite impacts, then we can take securities up to 100% of the estimated cost of the works to be provided. And that's held by the township until the required works are completed, and then the value of the securities is returned to the proponent. And ultimately, that's what we all want to do. We don't want to administer that money. But if the works do not be completed, then with proper notice, we can go do that ourselves. And that's something that that's very standard in routine with commercial and industrial site plan applications. And also for council's information, we've attached some of the boilerplate default and enforcement provisions that we use on all site plan agreements that prescribe how we can enforce non-compliance to the site plans. So that's something, of course, like any site plan wording, we use templates that we follow, but of course, language can be adopted or adapted and evolve as the case were to warrant. So at this point, we're not looking for council's direction. We're just providing some information and an update on the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Did I see your hand, Karen?
Yep.
Yes, Karen. Yes.
Question for Carl in reference to the site plan amendment. I know you made reference to in new ones. Well, with these amendments, are we then applying those enforcement measures into it?
Yes, Carol.
Through the chair, the way I envision this site plan amendment being implemented, we are working with an old agreement, and generally when we're working with old agreements like that, I think it's cleanest just to simply repeal and replace with the new one. So my recommendation to council would be if council does approve the site plan amendment, then we simply create a new agreement to replace the old one.
Okay, and Ian?
Carl, I guess my question is the enforcement of it is what we're saying here, is this strong enough wording, or like that people can't run around and poke holes in it and say, well, we can do this and we can do that with a lawyer or anything else of that nature. I'm just wondering, are we fully covered here is my question, maybe really, with how we have our enforceability.
Yes, Carl.
I think thank you, Mr. Through the chair. I think we're reasonably covered, but I think there's never any harm, I think, in reviewing the language in a general sense, and I'm not specifically applying this to any particular proposal, but reviewing the language in our site plan agreement with the solicitor to make sure that we're as covered as we possibly can be. And at the end of the day, we like to rely on the cooperation of proponents. There's always that opportunity, unfortunately, for conflicts to arise. And no matter how airtight and strong the agreements we have, there's still a process that we need to follow. And certainly I can let Jasmine expand on that. But I think in general, this is language that I'm familiar with and comfortable with, but I see very little downside in simply running that by a lawyer to make sure that we're covering our bases.
Okay. Yes, Ian.
As a follow-up, I guess my question or my concern is want to make sure that we have a big enough stick if need be that, we can ensure that the, everything's being followed as we, envisioned.
Well, I think that my comment to that would be that that's the way it should be for everybody.
No, I agree with you. That's, I'm not any specific occasion. I'm just reading this and I just want to make sure that it's enforceable.
Yeah. Well, we would hope it should be. And like I said, it should be for everybody. Claus?
Thanks, Reeve. Thank you, Carl. Interesting report. Just key components of the site plan, the second bullet point. What is the purpose of this tree planting variety and so forth? What's the reasoning behind that?
Yes, Carl?
But I think through the chair and to Deputy Reeve Vandermeer, I think this your question relates to the other self-storage report at 405 Sturgis Road. I can speak to that.
Well, I'm looking at the site plan.
In the
405, yeah, sorry, the 405 Sturgis Road one.
Yeah, so we'll be coming to that one.
Sorry, okay, I jumped ahead too far.
Okay.
Question, for the first agreement, if I remember correctly, there's actually no limit on the number of storage units that can be on that property. Is that correct?
Yes, Carl?
The agreement prescribes them on, there is a limit. It's not, for instance, it's all the way up one side, and I believe part of the way up, I would need to verify that exact, but there is a limit on the number of storage of sea containers on there, and they're proposing to extend that. So I'd have to review the exact. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I can certainly obtain that information.
Okay, anything else then? This is just going to be receiving this for information anyway, so it'll come back. I do have a motion. It was moved by Jeff Carroll and seconded by Karen Jennings, that the Committee of the Whole receive this report, the Greer Site Plan Update Report, and that the following be recommended to Council, that we receive this for information. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you, Carl. And moving on, yours is the next one also, and that's on the Public Works on the Talus Homes Site Plan Agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening again. I'm happy to present a site plan application for a significant development on the other side of Highway 15 for Council's consideration. So as noted in the report, the new owners are proposing to expand the existing self-storage facility on the southeast corner of Sturgis Road and Highway 15 with a total of 8 new self-storage buildings. These ones are a fair bit bigger than what's there right now. So these would be built in 2 phases, a mix of pod buildings, which are larger buildings intended to hold simply storage containers that are moved in and out, and then the traditional self-storage facilities where there's indoor lockers. So they are proposing to build in 2 phases. The first phase being the lands closest to Sturgis Road, and then once those are built out, then they would be looking to do the next one. So this is a building that has a very high profile on Highway 15. It's a high traffic road, and certainly a gateway to the municipality. There's also frontage along the road lines. So I think to So the development was supported by a planning summary as well as a variety of technical reports that were provided to justify the technical aspects of the use. They investigate key components to the development and inform the conditions that would be implemented in agreement. And they're based on OP policies as well as a technical review of the development proposal. So for something such as this, it's a pretty large development. It is truly a multidisciplinary effort. So the plan and supporting studies underwent a technical detailed review by township staff, specifically myself, Public Works Clerk Administrator, as well as outside agencies, including RBCA, Ministry of Transportation, and Via Rail. I'll also note that the grading, stormwater, and drainage works were submitted while we were in between public works managers. So unfortunately, we did not have the in-house expertise to give the technical engineering review of that. So when that sort of thing happens, then normally we would the practice is to retain the services of an outside consultant to undertake the review on our behalf. So we retained JP2G, who provided comments that were then provided back to the proponents. The proponents made some significant changes to their grading plans to accommodate this work, and then that was reviewed by our new public works manager when it was all completed, and Mr. Rathwell is supportive of that. So in this case, the zoning actually allows the use as of right. So the only Planning Act application here is the site plan application. There isn't a need for a minor variance. However, this is certainly not a minor site plan approval, which have been delegated to staff for approval. So in this case, they do get escalated to council for full approval. So I think in this case, staff are recommending that we approve the site plan, and also I'd like to take a moment and just express my appreciation to the proponents for the work that they've put on the file. There were a few drafts that have gone back and forth, and they've been very accommodating and certainly working with us in the spirit of collaboration on this. So I do appreciate that, and I'll just quickly highlight some of these key components. So certainly the existing neighboring residence that's surrounded on two sides by the proposed development is very important that be buffered. So a 1.8 meter, 6 meter solid fence and cedar shrubs planted along the shared property line would be of assistance there. To respond to Deputy Reeve Vandermeer's question with respect to tree planting, in this case, the property has very significant fronted or exposure and visibility along Highway 15 and the development of a number of large buildings that with minimal windows that are somewhat utilitarian based on just by virtue of being self-storage buildings. We felt it would be appropriate to encourage a variety of tree plantings in a location that they've chosen, in locations and species that they've chosen to provide that some visual interest and improve the streetscape look while still ensuring that they have the visibility that they would need. This is consistent with the tree canopy preservation and enhancement policy that was adopted last year, supporting tree retention and expansion where necessary. So non-developed areas to be seeded with grass, of course. The sufficient on-site parking to satisfy zoning bylaw requirements, and that's our zoning bylaw has what I would term to be fairly aggressive on-site parking requirements to set for self-storage building. So I believe it's one space per 70 square meters of floor space. So on a development such as this, a full build out, the bylaw would require 121 parking spaces, and I think it's unlikely that we'd ever see those many parking spaces ever be needed, or anything even close to that ever be needed. But it is in the bylaw. But fortunately, these folks have enough space on the property where they can accommodate that. But in the future, for future phases, they may be able to apply for a minor variance and have that reduced if the township agrees. So site grading was dealt with on a fairly on a fairly extensive basis through a system of swales leading to dry pond retention areas. And their engineers have worked with the Ministry of Transportation on that regard. Outdoor lighting to be designed and installed with full cutoff features, and the 9-meter wide access and turning radii have been requested through the building review stage. So I think the plan that's presented here is a product of significant dialogue between staff, review agencies, and the developers. So we've also attached, unfortunately, was not available at as of the presentation of the report, but late this afternoon we received the building elevations, and those have been circulated to council for review. So at this point, it's the staff recommendation that that council approves the site plan and adopts the bylaw at the available opportunity to authorize the clerk and Reeve to enter into the agreement. So I'll pause there for any questions that council may have.
Karen?
With reference to the grading, drainage, stormwater, because there's still a lot of water in that ditching type work that they've done around their property, it doesn't seem to be flowing the way that I think it's supposed to. So just curious about that.
Yes, Carl?
So at this point, if council prefers, I can reach out to the proponent's engineer for a technical response on that. Unfortunately, I can't speak with authority on that. If Stephen has if he'd like to, I think he's had an opportunity to cast a technical eye on the grading and drainage plan. If he has anything to add, then certainly I'll appreciate that. But I can reach out to the applicant's engineer to clarify that point and respond back to Councillor Jennings.
Carl, I believe that Stephen is with us tonight. Do you want him to respond? Maybe Stephen, do you have anything to add to this?
I don't have anything to add, but I could definitely assist Carl if there's anything that he would like my assistance with in the technical aspect of looking at the drainage swale.
Okay. Is that okay, Karen there?
Yep.
Did you anything else? Okay, then I'm going to Jeff.
Thanks, Reeve, for you. I just want to thank the staff and Carl. You guys did a great job working with Dave. I had some conversation with him, obviously, and he was pleased with the back and forth too, as well, as far as setting this up. This is very good for us too, as well. Talis Home coming in to start expanding, and they're starting obviously with the storage area. I think it's a great opportunity that we're looking at them as a big developer, and they do things right, which I think is a really, really big thing. So I'm in big favor of this. I think staff have done a great job working with the proponents, and this is great. This is a great start for us. So thanks, Carl, and thanks to the staff, and let's get this through.
Okay, thank you. I see no other hands for comments, questions. Then I do have a motion. It was moved by Claus Vandermeer and seconded by Ian Straight that the Committee of the Whole received the following report, the 405 Sturgis Road report, and that the following be recommended to Council, that Council supports the site plan application submitted by the owners of property known municipally as 405 Sturgis Road to accommodate the expansion of the existing self-storage facility, and that Council directs staff to prepare a bylaw for approval at the next meeting of Council. All in favor? Opposed?
No question.
Okay, question?
So if I approve it, it still means that this is going to be checked into to ensure that the grading, drainage, and stormwater is addressed?
Yes, I think that's what we could take. It will be addressed. We don't know what the answers will be. Carol?
So further, and thank you, Stephen, for jumping in there as well. But I will follow up right away with the consultant with the consultant engineer. I'll copy Stephen on that as well, so we're all on the same page with respect to the grading drainage.
Anything further, Karen?
Well, just to make sure that, so that if we approve it, that we don't get stuck where now they don't have to do anything if there is an issue. That's all. That's why I'm trying to make sure that, I mean, I want to say yes, move forward. I just want to make sure that that does get addressed.
Yeah, unless we can add something to this motion. Maybe I'll go to Jasmine if you can help us here.
So I think as long as we address it at the next meeting, like the decision is done at committee of the whole, but that gets ratified at the next meeting, and then we'd have the bylaw for the next meeting as well. So certainly in our report, we can note that compliance, and if there's any issues with council at that point, you can reconsider that disposition of the motion on committee of the whole.
Yeah, and
that be,
although it can be passed tonight, it doesn't have to be the next time if we're not if we're not happy with the results.
Okay.
Okay, so then all in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. And thank you for that one, Carl. The next one is the Public Works Manager. So I think that's all we need Carl for, I think. Is it?
yes.
Okay, good night, Carl, then. Thank you very much, eh?
Thanks, Carl.
Yeah, thank you very much, Carl.
Okay, and so Stephen, now we're going to be calling on you. And that is for the Public Works, the gravel contract. Thanks, Stephen. Yes, Jasmine first.
Yeah, so it is a joint report. So I think I was going to take the lead on
Oh, yes.
this one.
Yeah, sorry, I see that. Sorry about that. Okay.
So back in August of 2020, council directed staff related to the provision of the maintenance gravel tender that we had been discussed for like a 2-year tender to direct staff to have a conversation with the current supplier moving forward. So to refresh council, there is a renewal clause in the existing contract that we have with our current supplier that had the contract from 2018 to 2020, to the end of 2020. So staff have met with the representative Campbell's Trucking, which is the current supplier. At this time, council staff don't feel it's appropriate to present the potential costing because we do continue to recommend towards a tendering process. So receiving any pricing right now would necessarily bias the process and not provide for fair bidding. Depending on the option chosen by council tonight, we can approach the existing contractor to gather pricing information at a future date. So a more detailed analysis of options related to the extension of the contract is necessary at this time. So council can make a fulsome and informed decision related to procurement. If council elects to move forward with option 2 as provided, a motion should be passed to exempt the procurement policy to ensure that appropriate paperwork can be provided during our auditing process. So staff have provided a couple options for council to consider related to the gravel contract. So the first option is the recommended option, which would be to tender for a 2-year gravel contract for 2021 and 2022. Staff recommend option 1 for the following reasons. So the first and major reason would be for fair and transparent purchasing. So because the amounts per year in the 2018 tender are approximately half of those proposed to be provided in 2021 and 2022, it means that the competitive process that was undertaken in 2018 cannot be necessarily applied to the increased quantities in 2021. As the largest operational expense in the township year over year, it's important that the purchasing for this project is as transparent as possible. The other major reason for the recommendation is There are a number of local and area companies who compete for these contracts. So in maintaining procedural fairness in awarding contracts is important for the township to maintain our reputation in terms of competitiveness for tendering. So we don't want to have a negative reputation because it may impact our ability to receive bids in the future. The other reason why the 2-year contract is recommended is that it does provide certainty for future budgeting processes, and the 2-year contract can be more competitive in the tendering process because it offers more secured funding for the next year for the bidder. So option 2 is the extension of the current contract, which would be we'd have to obtain new pricing for the proposed roads for 2021, as the existing contract provides prices on a per road basis. And we can bring that forward to council. So as of now, the recommendation is to tender. However, council wants to move forward with option 2. I'd recommend that staff be directed to prepare a motion accepting our procurement process in order to do so.
Thank you, Jasmine. Open it up to council for any questions, comments. Karen?
Just a general comment because it makes reference to fair and transparent. I know that this contract is worth a lot more than some of our others, but I mean, there are others where we did bypass this process and it was then approved by council, not unanimously, but it was approved by council to bypass it. So it is documented. So, I mean, there are options definitely that it can be. It's not like this would be something new, but it just, I mean, to put the weight on that, I'm a little disappointed with that side of it, just because it has been something that council has done.
Council has done that in the past, yes.
Okay, Ian?
So I guess my question is the extension of the current contract isn't solely based on like 2018 rates per ton or something like that of gravel. There's no way that it can be extended at that level, I guess is my question.
Likely no, because the bidding amounts that were provided for 2018 were provided on a per road basis.
But was that not open-ended though on either end of it? Like it was.
There was an option to renew, but the way that it was structured in the tenders that we received, that in each year per each road, we had pricing for each road and for each year. So it would not be the same pricing as we received in 2018.
Okay, so that's what we come across in the conversations with the existing contractor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hey, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the tricky one is that I think the key on Councilor Straight there is it's not like it's like we're buying, I'm just make up numbers, 100 tons of gravel, and now we got an X price on this, and we want to see if we can get like the same price or extend that price 2 years later on getting 200 tons of whatever of the gravel. I mean, when we quote these out, it's literally like this road, this road, this road, and this is what it costs to do it. So I mean, like I feel like more and more that I look at this, like we almost really need to go out and really have an open bid on those roads that we want to get done on the gravel that's going to cost. So I mean, as much as we would like to extend it, I hear Councillor Jennings too as well saying about how we have looked past it before. But I think this is just it's just this case of we just have to go after each road. I think it has to be tendered. I don't know how we can't not tender it and not think that the other construction companies out there might not be wondering why we're doing that. I think in our past there might have been less options, but I don't want to get into that debate. I think it's more of I'm just more thinking that because of the roads and specifically the roads, we should be quoting on every single time we're doing those roads.
Okay, Claus?
Thanks, Reeve. We had quite a lengthy discussion on this back a number of months ago and so forth. Refresh my memory, Jasmine, when we talked about this, was there not some understanding that we would extend the 2-year contract at that point. And my second question is, going forward into 2021, is our requirements going to be a lot larger than 2018?
To address your questions, Reeve Dobbs, or I'm sorry, Deputy Vandermeer. Yes, what the planned gravel schedule is, and is double the amount from 2018 to 2021. So we've increased our gravel replacement schedule. So rather than, I believe, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, it would be like 10,000 tons, which we did in 2018, to 20,000 tons. So we're doubling the amount. And your first question was, I can't remember.
Sorry, when we discussed this, and that's why I'm asking the question too, because I can't remember either. But when we first discussed this back in the summer, was it not someone agreed that we would continue on with another 2-year extension? Is there not something in the original agreement that says that we have that option to extend 2 more years?
There's an option to extend for 1 year.
1 year, sorry.
In the existing contract. And council's direction was to approach the existing contract to discuss it. Although at this time, given the recommendation, it's not appropriate to put pricing on an open report of council.
No, I realize that. Okay. Thanks.
Hey, I have Ian and Jeff.
So I guess that's my question is, if we have an option to extend it by a year based on the volumes, if the contractor is willing to continue at the lower price, which I think we went through this process before where the new pricing was coming in was more than what the old pricing was, then is that not the best way to go? Like, if that's completely legal, that's, and I guess that's my question.
So ultimately, there's no function in our existing contract to be able to say, because the existing the contract that we had was certain amounts for certain roads. So what we'd be doing is providing a new price list for the new roads that we're doing and the volumes that we're doing now. There wouldn't necessarily be a way to, they'd all be priced differently.
But if the gravel per ton was priced at the same price it was in 2018, then does that not allow us to do that?
But even in our existing contract, there was increases every year. So it wouldn't necessarily be the same.
Okay, I'll go to Jeff.
Yeah, and I guess the thing is, it's not like it was the same price for everywhere. They charged, it was different amounts for different roads. So and it was going up every year. So yeah, there was no like, this is what it costs per ton by the gravel. And correct me if I'm wrong, that this past year when because we increased it a lot for this year, we just went to the contractor to up. We didn't do a tender for that, right? For the extra $100,000 that we did for 2021. Because the original contract didn't state, it was only stated for $100,000 in gravel, then we released the $234,000 worth of gravel.
So we did release a tender, but we did end up going with our existing contract.
With the existing contractor, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, like following that procedure, we should just then go back out and tender this out. And really, it should make sure that we're going to get the best price then for the next 2 years instead of hoping that. I have all the trust in the contractor we have right now. I mean, he's fantastic, but we have to make sure that we're doing the best for the people of the township and getting the best price and really having to go to tender for that amount. I think we should be doing that.
Okay, so that's what this motion has to do with, Jeff. And if we don't have any other questions, I'll read it then, please. Ian?
I guess my question then, if we do go out for tender for the new roads, are we going to specify amount of tonnage to be delivered, or are we going to specify the roads again?
The roads.
That is a great question.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a good question. Maybe we could ask Steve, like, do you have a handle yet on the overall maximum, say, plus 10% amount we might need?
Absolutely. That's where our policy is.
Oh, your voice is all muffled, Steve.
My policy would be to that.
Can't hear you.
Sorry, you sound like a robot. If you exit and then come back in again, it should work. So let's give him a minute.
What should we talk about now?
Is that what I sounded like when I was having all the technical issues?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly. Yeah. But it's different though, because you were the host. It was only ever the host that had that problem. So now it's like a participant. That's anyways.
Jeff, can you not afford razor blades? You said, what are we talking about now? We're talking about you.
I'm trying to catch up with Bill.
Okay, you got a long way to go.
Amazing when I don't shave though, the amount of comments I get though, I find it quite funny.
Yeah, well, I can imagine.
So Stephen is reconnecting.
He's coming
Trying
back.
to reconnect. He's coming back. There he is.
Welcome
Is that
back,
better?
Steve.
Try it.
Is it
Try it
better?
again, Dave.
Yes, much better.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Sorry for the delay. So yes, it's not out of the, I can absolutely come up with the tonnage per road and break it down in the tender absolutely for the contractor. Each road will have a tonnage plus minus like Reeve said, and it's absolutely doable to break it down to that
This is
aspect.
it.
When you put the amount down, what you predict on each road, because we know how thick it has to be, so then does the person, if they have some left over, then what happens to it? What happens to the gravel that they don't need at the end of a road?
So you're talking if there's some left over in the quantity?
Yeah, just in general, because I mean, it's pretty difficult to put the exact amount down that you think we need on each road, isn't it?
Not necessarily. That's why in my policy, using a belly dump actually enables us to put down a exact amount, and it allows us to put down, say, that certain amount, and within a certain or number, we should be very close to that number at the end of the day on what that road is going to have.
Yeah, and I didn't necessarily mean left over, because I wouldn't want to see the truck a little short either. So,
Okay.
Jasmine, please.
I do want to note, typically there's a clause in there that allows for some flexibility on the part of the public works manager that say, like, we're done this road and we've gotten this much on it, and there might be a little left over, and we could put it on like a dead end that's right nearby around the corner type of thing.
Well, that's
Just
perfect.
a bit of flexibility.
Okay, perfect. And Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking like part of this too, as well as we're following a roads need study. We know how much gravel we're ordering because it fits into where it's already going. We're kind of following that. So I mean, like as much as and I question, I worry about if we're just trying to say, well, this is how much gravel we want. There might be quoting. We might not get the best quoting back because we're going to get higher quoting because they don't know what roads we're doing. So they're going to maybe lean on the side of them further away from their quarries, which is going to charge more money. So, I mean, I think, I don't know. I guess that's where that question is, what's better, to go after the quantity or to go after the specific roads, which we know that we kind of have a plan already of where that gravel is going next year and 2022 with some changes. And obviously when roads fall apart, that the roads manager needs to deal with. Correct me if I'm wrong. So.
Well, that's kind of where I was going with my thought pattern there, because I thought that it would have been better just to give again, like Stephen can give us a pretty exact figure on quantity, just the quantity for gravel. And I think I think that we also still would have the ability, just like we have in the past, if there's a certain road that has deteriorated more than we thought it was going to, and we have to either retender or get a little bit more for, then that's not a problem. But I would kind of prefer the idea of just going on quantity, but that's that we can read. I can read you the motion and see if it suits everybody.
So I just want to note that, you know, further conversation related to the items in the tender can be brought forward to council. I think
Yes.
there's a lot of benefit to the per road pricing because there is a lot more predictability in delivery costs for the contractor.
Okay. We have a motion here. It was moved by Karen Jennings and seconded by Jeff Carroll that the committee of the whole receive the following report: the Public Works, the gravel tender, and that the following be recommended to council. That council directs staff to prepare a 2-year tender for gravel activities as outlined in the current gravel schedule. So before we vote, any more comments then? All in favor? Opposed? I'm really not seeing the hands very clearly, sorry. So I'm going to ask again, all in favor? Sorry, just keep your hands up so I can see. What? Opposed? Okay, so this is carried then. We have 2 people opposing, I believe, Karen and Jeff. Or sorry, Karen and Ian. I didn't see your hands very clearly, so.
Right, sorry.
Okay, that's carried. Thank you. And the next report on the agenda is the airport agreement discussions.
Yes. So adding to our extending list of agreements that we're discussing, the airport
Thanks.
agreement is, it all seems to be happening when I'm going away to promise it's not a coincidence, or that it is a coincidence. Sorry. The the airport agreement is an item that has been flagged as something that requires review after some discussions with the town of Smith Falls and the Flying Club. At the August 4th meeting, council did pass a resolution supporting the resolution from the town of Smith Falls, as well as rescinding the delegated authority to transfer lease agreements, along with no future lease hangar agreements, approving no future lease hangar agreements until the agreement, the 1992 agreement is reviewed. So the town of Smith Falls and the township of Montague have been meeting or have met with the Flying Club to make them aware of the desire to review the agreement. So they're generally in, they're aware of and in favor of acting as a party to review the agreement. So the commission, the airport commission, which is established by the agreements, will not be a party to the actual agreement discussions. So they will take place between the 2 municipalities and the Flying Club. So ultimately, the airport agreement is aged. The arrangement does not function as written, and the 2 municipalities share responsibility of the operational and capital costs of the upgrade of the airport runways and other assets. So the municipalities share cost for this, with the town undertaking a 75% portion and the town responsible for a 25% portion of both operational and capital costs. So future capital costs for the municipalities include runway resurfacing and upgrades to the runway, which would be a very significant future cost. So what I'm looking for council's endorsement today, excuse me, under the airport agreement is to consider the following principles that can be established as part of the review of the airport agreement. So it would go towards establishing a terms of reference for the airport agreement discussion. And I put together 4 points. These points have also been discussed with representatives from the town of Smith Falls. So I think everyone's kind of on board with these points. So the 4 points being the reduction of the impact to the taxpayers of the Township of Montague and the Town of Smith Falls in terms of capital and operational costs. Ensuring the financial sustainability of the airport, including long-term capital replacement. Establishment of understandability and transparency in the agreement and in the operation of the agreement. And the inclusion of provisions related to joint land sales and future economic development potential of jointly owned airport lands, which has been expressed as a priority of our councils, I think multiple times in the past. So I'm recommending that council provide some feedback on those principles, as well as nominating 2 members to act as representatives for this discussion. So that's as part of the airport agreement considerations. So for the lease agreements, council did pass on November 16th a reconsideration of the motion they had passed earlier. So I did provide a copy of that resolution. The town had reconsidered their position because there are 9 leases awaiting renewal that have expired. So they don't currently have month-to-month renewal clauses. So it is important that those lease renewals are completed so that they can have an active and current lease. So staff recommend that the Township of Montague pass a similar resolution so we can facilitate the renewal of those leases to the recommended period of time, which is ending June 30th, 2021. So that would provide for some certainty in the lease extensions and provide for some goodwill in our discussions with the Flying Club. And so those are the items that I've been asking some direction from council from tonight.
Ian?
So the current leases expired on June 30th, 2021?
The current leases are the ones that are in question. So then there's 9 leases of, I think, around 40 are already expired.
Do you know when they expired, Jasmine?
It would have been earlier, I think earlier in the summer
Before
of
that.
2019.
Yeah, or was it before in 2019?
No, 2020. Sorry, this year is the word. Yeah.
I thought it was 10 months ago. Might be 10.
It was quite a long time ago.
10 months ago, I believe. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, Jeff?
Yeah, I believe it was 10 months ago because I think that, Smith Falls has talked about it, they want to do basically talk about an extension of 18 months. So that would bring the other 8 months into next June. Is kind of what they discussed. Sorry, Jazz, I was watching the Smith Falls discuss it too as well as far as what they were going over.
Yeah, I'm not aware exactly of what that is, but I can certainly get that information.
Yeah, that's fair. That's what Malcolm said during their meeting. That it was they want to have an 18-month extension because it was 10 months have already passed, and they want to add an extra 8 months, and they're hoping in the 8 months time we can come to a resolution. I think it's great that we're doing this. I think it's great we're going forward. I think Reeve Dobson would be a great representative for us for sure. He's got a lot of history there with the Flying Club, so and a representative there. So I'd be very happy if Reeve Dobson is obviously interested in doing that. I would nominate him for sure.
Great.
Anybody else want to jump in?
Claus?
Yeah, I'll jump in, Jeff.
I'm good with that too. Let's do it.
I've been involved somewhat along with the Reeve with this.
Okay, so then we have 2, unless there's others, but we do have 2 then that will sit on this. I will accept that myself also. So if there are no others, then do you have anything else to report before I read this motion, Jasmine?
No, I think if council is okay with the principles to be established in the review of the agreements, then I think that's the direction that I'm looking for today.
So if this moves forward, then does that mean then that those expired contracts will be signed?
After the next meeting.
Sorry, leases.
After the next meeting, yes.
Yes, yeah. When it comes to council, yes. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, Karen?
So when you sign those next leases, that's only till June 30th, 2021?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there'll be lots more probably expired by then also.
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so
Okay. Yes,
just
Ian?
another question, I guess, is so we extend this, those leases that the people that have no leases right now get extended to June 30th, 2021. And then they come back up for renewal under the new lease agreement that's going to be put in place, just so I clarify that.
Yes.
Okay, Jeff?
I was just saying, because right now, if they re-sign, it's in like, it's an automatic, like, is it 20 or 30 years, something like that? Is that
Yeah,
the,
20
That's-
21 years.
yeah, that's what we want to avoid, right? That's why we want to just extend it to that, so we can have a better agreement in place before then to do those re-signings.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I want to make sure, that
Mhm.
nobody's getting an extension for 20 or 30 years here.
No, the extension
No.
would only be to the June 30th, 2021.
Okay.
Okay, yes,
I
Yes.
apologize. I do have Reeve Dobson as a rep. Did we get a second rep?
yes, Claude said yes.
So I apologize for that.
That's okay. I'll speak up next time.
Okay, so I do have a motion that was moved by Claude Vandermeer and seconded by Ian Straight, that the committee of the whole receive the following report: the airport agreement review and airport lease agreements, and that the following be recommended to council: that council endorse the general principles for the airport agreement review, and that council provide 2 members to sit on the agreement review panel, and that council rescind resolution 172-2020 related to lease agreements, and that council supports extending all pending agreement extensions for a term ending June the 30th, 2021 to the satisfaction of the clerk, administrator, and the reeve. All in favor? Sorry, did you have a question, Jeff?
No, I was in favor.
No, okay, I thought your hand was going up a little early, so
Yeah, I was going
all
a
in
little
favor?
quick.
All in favor, everybody?
Yes.
Opposed, none, that's carried. Thank you. Thanks, Jasmine, for this report then. And the next one is also yours on the roofing design and engineering.
Yes, so this is a repeat of a previous report related to the design and engineering for the roof. To make it quick, I do recommend that we move forward with Greer Galloway and get started on the engineering and design of the roof replacement so we can meet the timelines of our grant.
Okay, because we're in a real rush here to get this thing done. No questions, no comments? No, sorry, just kidding.
Good.
Any questions, comments? Okay, then we have a motion moved by Karen Jennings and seconded by Jeff Carroll that the committee of the whole receive the following report: the roofing, engineering, and design, and that the following be recommended to council: that council engage Greer Galloway Consulting Engineers for the engineering and design of the roof replacement. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Moving on to our next report, the benefits information, and that's going to be over to you, Andrew. Andrew Hodge, our treasurer. So Andrew, you can take it away. Hi, Andrew.
Good evening, Council. So this report this evening is a group insurance and benefits update. This came out of the budget meeting that we had in October. And this just gives a quick bit of history and review to answer the question that was asked by council. Back in 2017, council had done an analysis of the benefits and had gotten new pricing in a consortium pricing group with the county, saved money by switching providers, added a few additional benefits for the township benefit plan. I've provided a summary of the costs from 2017 up to what we expect them to be for 2021. And I reached out to the municipalities locally in the county and towns, and they responded to how the benefits are paid in those municipalities. So 5 of the municipalities responded that they pay 100% of the cost. It's the employer that pays. 2 of the respondents pay all of the benefits except for the long-term disability portion. And 1 response was that the employer pays 80% of the benefits cost and the employee pays the other 20%, and that excludes dental in the apportionment. So from this report, basically, I would say there's been no rapid escalation in the cost of the township's benefits. They remain competitive. They're protecting the township employees as they're intended. And Montague Township is consistent with the majority of the other municipalities in the county. And this is an information report, so there's no financial implications at this time.
Any questions? Karen?
Just curiosity, what does the 3,120 increase represent for a tax rate increase?
It would depend on the overall budget of the township. If that was whether that was the only increase of the whole budget or not, or whether there were other things to offset it.
I just can't remember.
You couldn't necessarily guarantee it would increase taxes just for that. If it did, it would be about 0.1%, possibly, maybe slightly less.
Can I have?
Yes.
What does salaries and benefits represent of our budget? Sorry.
In dollars?
In a percentage? Do you know that? It's okay. You can just let me know because I just thought of that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you take the 57,000 and divide it into, I guess, the $4 million roughly in total that the township will spend.
So 57,000. No, that's just in benefits though, right?
That's right.
Yeah, no, I was wondering, what does salaries and benefits represent of our budget? Sorry. But you can get back to me because I just thought of that. Sorry. Next budget meeting.
Yeah,
Salaries-
I think for that item,
Next budget.
bring it back at the next budget meeting.
Thanks.
Okay. So I'm going to Claus.
Yeah, thanks. Andrew, I see you projected 54,000 in 2020 and then up 3,000 for 2021. Is that due to an increase from the carrier or you're just projecting?
Yeah, that's the carrier's first estimate that they've provided to us. And they'll actually be updating that in December. So for the second draft of the budget, we'll have an even more definitive answer for that.
Okay.
More dialed in, more focused.
Second question I may. Now this covers the staff, all paid staff. It doesn't cover anyone, staff member or any members that get honorariums. This is strictly just paid staff.
This is for just the paid staff. The 11 employees are covered under this.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. I see no other questions. I do have a motion that was moved by Claus Vandermeer and seconded by Ian Straight that the committee of the whole received the following report, the roofing engineering and design report, and that the following be recommended to council, that council engage Greer Galloway Consulting Engineers for the engineering and design of the roof replacement.
That's the previous resolution.
Oh dear. Sorry about that. Did we not vote on that one?
Yeah, we did.
Yes.
Did we vote on that one?
Yes, you did.
I just didn't fill that out. I'm sorry. There, sorry about that. Then the next motion was moved by Karen Jennings and seconded by Jeff Carroll that the committee of the whole receive the following report, the roofing engineering and design, and that the following be recommended to council. That council engage Greer Galloway Consulting Engineers for the engineering and design of the roof replacement.
So
No, exactly the same. Pardon?
there should be there. It
These two
actually
that
looks
I
like
have.
it looks like there's 2 copies of the same one. So just move on to the next one.
Yeah, okay, because one is F and one is G.
Yeah.
Sorry, okay.
Apologies for
I'll
that.
go on to the next one. This one was moved by Klaus Vandermeer and seconded by Ian Straight, that the Committee of the Whole receive the following report, the Group Benefits Report, and that the following be recommended to Council that we receive this for information. All in favor? Opposed? Oh, sorry. Okay, so I can't, I have to see all the hands, please. So all in favor? Two, three, four, five. Okay. Then there's no opposed. Then this is carried. Thank you. Okay, Jasmine, thank you for that one. And Andrew, thank you for this. We're moving on. We have no reports of committees, nor petitions, nor motions, no notice of motions, no unfinished or other business. And before we adjourn, Jasmine, do we have any questions from the public?
We do. The question from the public is
Okay.
regarding the Boundary Road Agreement, Adirondack and Rideau Agreement. If Smith Falls has 3 reps and we only have 2 reps and it comes to a vote to do something, will we not be at a loss such as a 3-2 vote automatically? So if council's okay, I can probably answer this question unless you want to jump in. I think in terms of actually making
Well,
decisions,
this is it.
Go ahead, Reeve Dobson.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to, yeah, I was just going to say that these preliminary discussions are just consultation discussions anyways. There would be no votes, would there?
Yeah, so in the function of it, there wouldn't be a vote at these types of meetings. They would just be discussion based, and decisions that get made will get decisions be done by each individual council. And ideally we can come to recommendations to each council as they make the decisions that both councils endorse. So there wouldn't be a vote on that type of discussion panel.
So that I hope that's clear for the query, but there will be no votes at those discussions anyways.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
No more questions.
Okay, thank you then. We're at the end of our committee of the whole meeting, and I do have a motion. It was moved by Karen Jennings and seconded by Jeff Carroll that the committee of the whole do now adjourn at 8:28 p.m. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And now we'll take another couple of minutes, Jasmine, or 2 or 3 minutes to give you a little break.
Yes, that'd be great.
Okay, so we'll be back in 3 minutes and then we'll reconvene our council meeting.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Joanna, if you'd like to sign off at this point, you're good.
Thank you, Joanna. I'm just in between another break. We have 2 meetings over. We have a camera meeting. What are you doing, you little rascal? You. Me. Oh, Margot, you are something. Yes, you are something. stairs from that?
Bill? You there, Bill? Hello, Bill?
I think she said I can't remember. Yeah, she did it like nobody's business. That was like, she went there and she did it. She didn't even hesitate. Like, she didn't try it. She just did it on her first try. Yours is in the blue mug, I think. Yours is in the blue mug.
Can you hear me, Bill?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, you weren't muted.
Hey?
You need to mute your iPad.
Oh, I thought she muted everybody.
No, you got to do that yourself.
Can you hear me now?
No, yes, I can. I'll have Jess back. I guess it's all right. Everybody back.
Let's get back on here.
Yeah, I'll be right back. Sorry.
You having a late night treat there, Bill?
What's that?
Having a late night treat?
Yeah, this is my supper.
Oh, really? Holy thumbs.
Yeah.
Getting late.
We don't normally eat very early anyways.
No, you're late eaters?
Well, usually we wait, especially for 6 months of the year when Kate and Kyle are milking, we wait till all of that's done till 8:30.
Okay.
I prefer to eat at 8:30 anyway.
I guess I can get away with it in camera. Hey?
Totally. Okay.
The first motion is moved by Claus, so I'll have to wait.
Yeah, sorry. My
No problem.
my wood
No
stove was
problem.
in the danger zone.
Okay, so we're going to reconvene here, and I do have a motion by Claus Vandermeer and seconded by Ian Straight that council reconvene at 8:36. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And moving on. I have a motion. It was moved by Karen Jennings, seconded by Jeff Carroll, that this council moves closed session at 8:37. As per S 239 of the Municipal Act, S 0 2001 C25, in order to address personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, more specifically, the clerk administrator performance evaluation, and that the clerk administrator and treasurer be permitted to be in the discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. And then we're now in camera, and
Not yet.
think, pardon
Yeah,
me?
I have to